All right, hello. Hello, and welcome to this thing that doesn't have a name yet.
You can't do the whole podcast without having a name. I think we need a name.
Do you think we can have a name before it's even a thing?
This is not postmodern discussion.
We
on
can really
podcast.
be very Alan Davis about this and just be like, oh yeah, it's
QI.
Untitled.
Like QI reference.
No, he has that show as yet Untitled.
What's that? What channel is that on?
Dave.
Sponsored. Hashtag sponsored Dave.
We're sponsored by Alan Davis.
Okay, great. Podcast name sorted.
No, it's not.
No,
it really isn't.
Okay, we'll do that after the thing, I guess.
I think, yeah, at some point we'll, I don't want to have it like where it's a different name every time. That would be really confusing.
We could do a different podcast, like not episode, what's it called? Well, no, Ricky Gervais does.
What does he do? What?
The thing where it's like behind the
Ricky Gervais
scenes.
show?
Is that it? No,
That's
the
the name of his
episode
podcast.
extras. We can do another podcast, which is like the making of this podcast. Where we brainstorm the name.
We haven't
of
even made
podcast.
this one yet.
I'm just thinking.
There's a lot going on
ahead.
behind the scenes here, though.
Yeah.
There really is.
Yeah.
Either way, the thing. So basically, we tried to do this a couple of days ago, and it didn't really work out because I didn't have the right wires.
No. And Apple wants us to suffer.
Yeah. Apparently, you need to buy several wires to connect an external microphone to an iPhone. Either way, that's all behind the scenes. That all going on a separate show that we're definitely doing.
That's the different podcast where we talk about everything failed.
Yeah, so this show was technically meant to be a Halloween show.
And it is.
And it is still.
Because
Because we're not gonna
It's
do
Halloween
any more prep.
30th, everyone. Welcome.
Yeah. So welcome to the 30th of October.
This is what it sounds like. Don't worry about it.
Yep.
And we've got Halloween themed.
And we've got a lot of Halloween themed notes going on.
One of us does.
One of us has
One person
done
has
some
them.
preparation for this. Okay, so should I just jump right into it? Into my
Yeah,
notes?
choose your favorite prompt.
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay. Yeah, so we were thinking of just talking about kind of haunted places and just generally Halloween themed stuff like that. So, okay, so we watched The Conjuring 2 recently, which I had no idea was about the Enfield Haunting.
Yeah.
Which was something I was always kind of interested in finding out about, and
It was a good way to find out about it in The Conjuring 2.
It was definitely a semi-factual
Pretty sure it's a documentary, actually.
I'm pretty sure it was. And then the documentary that I watched on the Enfield Haunting was pretty much just like a Hollywood complete bastardization of the actual story.
Which is weird. Like, I didn't expect Louis Theroux to kind of go down that route with his documentaries. But, alright, we're
Yeah,
kind of changing
I'm
things
pretty
up
sure
a bit.
he was probably, I don't know, how old would he have been in 1977?
He's ageless.
Yeah,
He's timeless.
that's true.
He's a titan.
Yeah, so anyway, I just thought it would be interesting from your point of view. And if you don't know, the Enfield Haunting was just essentially a series. Well, actually, maybe I should just talk about it because I'll go from the beginning. So essentially, and what I should preface this with is that the weirdest part about this is that I recently found out that every time I've driven to my nan's house since I've been very young, we have literally driven past this house that has so much like significance to it, even though it's like not in any way would you know that this was
Hasn't got a sign saying.
No, yeah,
we're haunted.
yeah.
No.
There's nothing about it that would make you think. It looks, I mean, I've only seen it on Google Street View recently, but it looks pretty run down. It looks pretty grimy. It looks kind of a bit like the bad end of Silent Hill building. Like I don't know if that has anything to do with the poltergeist that dwells within.
It definitely dwells within. Wait, does it look the same as it did in the film?
Well, that was the thing about the film because it's literally it's literally a semi-detached house in Enfield, and so in the film, which is this big Hollywood film, they had to make the house considerably bigger to fit probably to make it, I guess, to make it seem more like an environment, like the environment was a character or something like that,
Yeah, and fit
maybe.
the cameras in. Because
Yeah,
it
it's
looks
probably
so
to fit the
tiny in the
crew in it.
pictures.
Yeah, it's huge in the film,
Yeah.
and in the from what I saw from the documentary, it's pretty small. Um, yeah. So anyway, uh, yeah, amazingly, we've been driving past this house ever since I was young, and it's very strange to me that that was the case.
Do you not get any like bad vibes off of it?
I don't remember. No, I don't remember ever getting a bad feeling going past that house. Really, it's really weird. And I can picture it, like I still haven't driven past since I found that out, but I can picture exactly where it would be, and it's just like, I mean, this would have been way before the time that I was driving past it, but that's the thing, like there are just people living there now, so it's not like they tore it down because it was like
Too
the
haunted.
yeah,
Would it be illegal to get some ghost hunting equipment and just go into their home?
without their permission.
Don't need it. It's a ghost.
No, I'm pretty sure that's pretty sure that's legal. Yeah,
It's fine,
pretty sure
yeah.
you can do that
You don't
anywhere.
need a warrant. You said that about ghost hunting. It's fine.
Yeah.
Just put it on YouTube. That's enough reason. They'll understand, I think. Do you think they get a lot of people coming to the door, like asking about
I
the
think they
ghosts and stuff?
must. They
It's just
must
so
do.
annoying.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess that kind of comes with the property. Anyway, I'm gonna start talking about it now. So, I guess the parallels with the film start here because the first thing that happens is the chest of drawers move. So there's a mother and two daughters and two sons. The two sons aren't really involved. It's more about
I did not realize there was a second son
yeah
until the last
we
20
realized
minutes
in
of
the
the
last
film.
like 20 minutes that there is actually yeah a second child. Um, yeah, so it's mainly about this girl called Janet who is about 11 or something. She's
Yeah.
pretty young. Um, she one night they're just complaining that sort of things are moving and the mom's getting annoyed and she comes up to check it out, and she is standing in her kid's room, and suddenly a chest of drawers flies across the room and blocks the doorway.
It's in the film. Or is this
That's in the film. That was also in the documentary.
Okay.
That was
Oh,
like
okay.
the beginning of this whole thing happening.
Yeah.
So they go. This wasn't in the film. They go next door to get a builder. Um, their neighbor's a builder. And they get him because he's like this big burly guy. They think like, oh, he's not gonna be scared of anything. And they bring him over to the house to be like, because they expect him to know of anyone what what it'll sound like. Because well, they can hear knocking is the thing as well as this chest
Oh,
of
yeah.
drawers
Isn't
thing.
it like in the walls or something like that? They can hear like.
Yeah, they can hear
not the front
knocking on the
door thing.
walls. So they get their neighbor to come and sort of check it out. He'll know
He knows houses.
the integral structure of the house.
Sure.
And he can't explain it at all. He
Mm.
just doesn't understand it. And he said he's just like that's not normal. So they call the police, which does happen in the film.
Yeah.
I guess that would have been the second thing that happens. And the police, there's actually documentary footage of the actual police being kind of interviewed,
Oh.
and they're like, yeah, we just saw this chair move. It just moved, and that's what happens in the film. A chair like slides across the room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Sorry.
yeah. So this really shaken up like policewoman is like, yeah, I just saw this chair move, and it's just very weird.
It's like
Can't
in
explain it.
1970s
Don't know how to explain it.
kid. Enfield accent.
Yeah.
Genuine.
Um, so, yeah, the police can't do anything, obviously, because
Can't arrest a ghost.
nope, can't arrest the ghost.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, and that definitely makes it weirder to me that like they get that out of the way in the first like 20 minutes of the film. Like the police can't do anything, like it's a ghost.
Yeah.
So, and that seems like that's kind of what happened in real life, but it's all.
Mm. And then the speculation, isn't there, that the police were like in on it and thought that
Oh
they could
yeah. Mm.
like scam people with them or something like that. Like everyone was in on it.
Well, yeah,
With
there is a
one
lot
stuff.
of speculation
Yeah.
to things that happen, but I guess I'll kind of go into that as it happens.
Yeah.
I didn't. There was nothing in the documentary to suggest that the police were involved. Weirdly, that seems a bit far to me, but yeah. Either
Yeah,
way.
that'd be
Uh,
illegal. I'm pretty sure.
so the next thing that happens is that they call the Daily Mirror, obviously,
Yeah,
as you would,
most reliable
and
news source.
they just tell them the story, and they arrive and set up all their cameras and stuff, and nothing happens, and then they wait and they sort of waiting for all this paranormal stuff to happen, and they go to leave because nothing's happening, and they suddenly look inside and everything is flying around the room.
That's
I mean,
ridiculous.
everything is just it's just gone to shit in there. Yeah, it's just everything is just it's just like a tornado of like Lego bricks and like all these.
Wait,
kind
was
of
this
toys
in
and
The
stuff.
Conjuring? Or in the documentary?
This
Or in Whole Life?
I don't think was. I'm not sure. I don't remember that being in the film.
No, because that sounds ridiculous. That's
Yeah.
really silly.
Um. Yeah. So. Yeah. This guy that they interviewed. It was the guy in the documentary. He seems very sure that he saw what he saw. He seems very kind of distant and very like
Spooked.
yeah, he seems pretty spooked. Um, but when they get the photos developed, you can't. There's nothing going on. Like this, because he was literally standing in the corner taking pictures as all this stuff was flying around the room,
Yeah.
and then he got the photos developed, and there was just nothing
It's
going on.
completely
Like it was
still.
just yeah.
What? That's right, but then who else saw it? Was it just a photographer
I
and
mean,
like
yeah,
family?
I think it was the whole family that was down there in the living room. I think it was in the living room that happened. Um,
Hmm.
yeah.
That's gonna.
So that kind of doesn't help their case.
No.
Because I was thinking the whole time this was happening, like, why don't you just look at the fucking pictures?
Yeah.
And I'll show you what happened. But yeah, then they
That's
said it a
convenient
minute later.
that they can't. Yeah, because
It is convenient.
is that ghost law? As in LOI. That
Wait,
you
what?
can't. Like, is that part of the ghost backstory?
Oh,
Like,
ghost law.
ghost law?
Right.
That. Because in It Follows, you can see it moving the hair.
Which you did see last night.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. But, like. Okay, I don't know. That makes me believe it a bit less if the pictures aren't anything. But then there's a picture of her
They
jumping.
didn't take any
but
pictures in It Follows, though.
They took a film of it.
Did they?
They did the whole film.
Oh,
They did
yeah,
a
the
film of it?
documentary It Follows.
Yeah,
the-
yeah. Another Luther
yeah.
classic. But
Yeah.
because they took a photo of Janet like jumping or like being
Yeah.
thrown somewhere.
So yeah,
That's-
that I think will come up in a little bit.
Okay.
Anyway, right. So after the photos came up as just nothing really, they call up the Society of Psychical Research, and they get involved. Or that's like who the Daily Mirror refer them to or something.
Okay.
So this is the guy in the film. He is very similar looking because they do like talking head interviews with the guy in the documentary.
Okay, right.
You know the guy in The Conjuring 2. There's the guy who has like the mustache and the glasses.
Yeah,
and,
he's no
yeah,
good,
he's like one of the main sort of interview people with the
Okay.
ghost, the guy that interviews him.
Yeah.
The Warrens
Mhm.
didn't ever get involved with this. They weren't.
Oh, you mean The Conjuring?
That's completely
Stars?
where The Conjuring just
Yeah.
just shits all
Gets
over this story. 'Cause
really
the
silly.
Warrens were not involved. The Warrens are involved in a different thing that I
What?
have written.
Wait, were they real?
Yeah, they're real people. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes it even weirder. That's like makes this like sort of like weird fan fiction of real people's lives.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
just
That
mash them
is-
together.
It is a bit weird that they are real and that they were just used in this film. Like,
Yeah,
they're
just
just
shoehorned.
transferable into any haunted story.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they at least did get this bit kind of right. So apparently the mother and the kids didn't even know what poltergeist meant. They I mean, they must have known what ghosts were,
Yeah.
but like they weren't caught up with the proper technical terms.
Yeah.
So apparently, poltergeist literally means rumble ghost.
And I like that. Aw. That's kind of cute.
Yeah,
Rumble ghost.
both of which are German words.
Okay.
Polter being rumble, geist being ghost.
How can you be mad at that? It's just having a little bit of a ruffle.
Yeah, it does
It's
sound like he's
adorable.
just standing there, kind of like charging up,
Yes,
just vibrating.
like seriously.
um, so BBC News shows up because it's apparently a slow news day, and
Mhm.
this reporter lady in the documentary is quite sort of she's quite a big part of the documentary. Yeah, because they just thought this would be nothing. They just heard of this haunted house, and so there are a lot of recordings in the documentary, which is annoying because we can't really use those here. But
Mm.
they have a recording of that indicates that
Can you
they
do your
hear.
best impression? Sorry, can you just do your very best impression?
Well, what's the note I have here? Recording indicates that they hear a noise upstairs and find an overturned chair.
That wasn't a very good impression.
Um,
Thanks.
that was
That's, that wait.
that's the
Oh
best I
wait. So
can
they
do.
just have a recording of the chair.
I think yeah. So I think they're just recording downstairs and they hear
Oh, okay.
something, or they've just come upstairs. Yeah. So I think. Oh wait, hang on. Yeah. So I think it
Hmm.
was. The kids are in their bedroom sleeping, and they're.
Hmm.
It's weird because a lot of these people seem to be just kind of staying with them while all this is happening, just so that they can get everything in case anything happens.
Yeah, that
And
is in The Conjuring, too.
I
The
think it
Warrens
is,
do
yeah.
stay with them,
Yeah, but the Warrens, yeah.
but
So
they don't
if you just
exist.
talk about the Warrens for BBC News and
Yeah,
some some guy with a moustache.
and it's pretty much true to life.
Yeah, so they come in. I don't know if they were asleep or not, or whatever, but they were like, they come in with like all the like microphones and stuff, and
Hmm.
they're like, uh, we've just heard this noise from downstairs, and we've just come up to see that the chair at the foot of the bed, they're just asleep here, and the chair's completely fallen over. It looks like they're pretty much asleep, so I'm pretty sure that they couldn't have done this.
Sure, yeah,
Which I mean they could have, but it
yeah.
was also like
I guess you would have heard footsteps maybe if they'd gotten out of bed.
yeah, I mean she could have just sort of got up in bed and sort of
Oh yeah,
went
just
over her bed and pushed it. I don't know,
yeah,
but yeah, it's a shame that they couldn't have had some like paranormal activity style camera set up in those days.
yeah. When did night vision exist?
Well, actually, there is something like that, but
Oh,
it'll come up in a bit.
okay.
Right. So after all this spooky shit's happening, they all start sleeping in the same room because they're just like, oh, wait, I can't handle it.
Yeah.
And
Wait, the
they probably have
reporters,
to as
the
well.
family.
I was gonna
Like,
say they probably have to as well because there's no freaking room in
yeah,
their
it's
house.
just like a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory situation with like the
Yeah,
grandparents in
they're
one
all
time bed.
yeah.
That's cute. That's intimate. I know what.
Yeah. So uh. Right, so yeah, all these people are just kind of sitting around waiting for something to happen now.
Hmm.
And one day, the house starts rumbling, and I think this did happen in the film. A fireplace levitates out of the wall.
Oh yeah, I
I'm
think
pretty sure, yeah, because they kind of in the film they corner off the room completely. The
they just
kids'
shut her in the room,
bedroom,
don't they?
it becomes like this like tornado of just stuff going on inside, and
Yeah.
it's like all chained up, like do not go in here, pretty much.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so I think the fireplace probably kind of explodes out of the wall in the film just to make it a bit more.
I feel like they come up like they find it later and like it's been completely torn out of the wall or something like that. Like I don't
Yeah,
really see it and they just find it later.
yeah. But supposedly it just, I mean, this was quite a big piece of evidence
Yeah.
against the fact that it was a hoax because
Yeah.
there's no way the kids could have
11-year
done
old
that.
can yeah.
That's like mental. No, you wouldn't even think to do that. You wouldn't think a
No.
ghost could do that.
No, especially not a rumble ghost. You can't
Especially not
rumble it
normal
right out of the wall.
ghosts. So let's see. Yeah, so
Hmm.
when they're just sort of sitting and interviewing the kids one day, and they realize that the knocking on the walls, um, it would move around rapidly, and like it can't really be followed. So like if you went over, if you heard knocking on this wall over here,
Mm.
and you went over to it, it would suddenly be on the other side of the room.
Right.
Like so, it's obviously like
Transporting. Or something.
it's obviously yeah teleporting somehow.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, I mean
Transporting.
it's obviously something's going on.
Yeah,
Something weird's happening.
that's the conclusion of the Enfield Haunting. Something's going on. Can confirm.
Yeah, that was pretty much the police report that they left, and
Just
then
something's going on. Dot dot dot.
yeah,
That's it.
case closed. So the family go to Clacton, which didn't happen in the film. They just kind of went away for a few days just to get away from it all.
Sure, yeah.
Get away from a lot more than most people usually do.
Yeah, it's not just
Not
like
just the
weekend
humdrum
break.
day-to-day job
Yeah.
thing. It's more just the
A
terrifying
ghost.
nightmare that your life has become.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be
supposedly
terrible.
nothing happened while they were away. But obviously when they get back, it's like nothing's changed. Like everything just starts up again.
Right.
And so the investigator starts he starts talking to the ghost directly because now he's kind of convinced like this could be a real guy.
Mm.
So he says to do 1 knock for no and 2 knocks for yes. And so he asks it if it died in the house,
Mhm.
and it knocks 53 times.
That's that's too much. Maybe calm down a little bit.
And then it asks, I've got in quotes here. It asks if it's having a game with him. Yeah, because
What's
he
it
suddenly
about?
goes like, "Are you having a game with me?"
Yeah.
And then it throws a box at him.
Christ, I think it's having a game.
Yeah, I think it is having a game. So and you can hear it on the recording as well because all this is recorded.
Okay.
You can suddenly hear, yeah, a box, like a cardboard box, suddenly gets thrown at his head.
Fuck.
And I mean, obviously it's just a recording, but that would mean he would have to be in on it as well if that was fake.
Yeah. Wait, is it just audio?
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
audio, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of that you can hear.
How
in this
quickly is the
documentary.
knocking of 53 times? Because do they have to wait for like an hour?
That wasn't actually. They didn't show that bit, but yeah, I
Someone-
guess it must have just been like.
Someone's just counting it. Like, oh Christ.
Yeah.
It's really enthusiastic.
Going, yeah, so there were actually instances of the kids messing around, which made people think that it was a hoax
Mm.
because there's a part where this wasn't in the film. Janet steals one of their tape recorders, one of the investigators' tape recorders, and it's still running, it's still recording.
Yeah.
Which I guess if you were like a kid in the 70s, you wouldn't realize that there's like a massive record button like pressed
No.
in.
Yeah.
And
Or you just want to mess with people anyway.
and
like-
she's like, yeah, let's take his tape recorder and we'll like hide it under my bed.
Yeah.
And they've literally just recorded themselves like saying that. So there's obviously an element of them being a bit mischievous.
Yeah. I feel like if you're Janet, if you're a 10-year-old that's being haunted, you kind of want to have
You want to
fun
have a
at
bit
some
of fun,
point.
yeah.
You
And
wanna not
like
hate
they're
your life.
kids, like obviously they're gonna play up a little bit to
Yeah.
all this attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well,
Right.
it doesn't necessarily. Mm,
What?
doesn't disprove it. If you knock 53 times, I'm sold on that evidence. Like, that's not someone
I mean,
who's
that
play-
wasn't
not playing a
actually.
game.
I don't know if that was recorded because it wasn't in the documentary. But that, I think
believe
there
it.
is another like piece of evidence soon.
Mhm.
Right. So on the tape, in the documentary, there is also a recording of Janet being dragged out of bed and down the stairs.
Right.
Because the reporters are kind of all sort of like getting up and being like, Janet, and they're like going towards this. Yeah, and then supposedly they sort of got to the top of the stairs and they could see her at the bottom of the stairs and like.
Right. No
Yeah,
tests,
so you can
but-
actually hear that in the recording. It doesn't sound like someone getting up out of bed and sort of.
falling.
I mean, you couldn't really force yourself down the stairs because you would hurt yourself. You can't force yourself to do
Yeah,
that.
you could slip though.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it sounds pretty convincing.
Okay.
Right. So. Right, yeah. So the photos that you were talking about, where you can see her kind of, it looks like she's almost like flying.
Yeah.
They're kind of the most famous photos linked to this case, where she sort of, I mean, it looks like she could be jumping, but the thing is, um, to get these photos, they had a camera set up to detect movement. So this was at night that it would have happened,
Yeah.
and it's not as if you. It's not as if before those photos you can see any photos of her sort of getting up and sort of crouching down to
Okay.
jump or something.
Yeah.
Like it's literally just those are the ones that you see.
That's sudden. Hmm.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so it's I don't
That's
know.
kind of spooky. I don't know. Hmm. Because it definitely I remember in the picture, like she's got like her legs like bent. It definitely looks like
Yeah.
she could be jumping. And then
Yeah,
maybe
it
they just
definitely does look like it could be,
yeah.
but I don't know. I was
It's
kind
not
of
in night
convinced
vision.
by
It's
that.
not in like green
No, yeah,
night
it's not.
vision,
It
so
looks like
filter. I don't trust it.
yeah.
If it doesn't look spooky enough.
Um yeah, weirdly this wasn't in the film, but they caught a dog barking in the room
What?
on
Oh wait, on
tape.
the green. What? That's
They caught yeah, it literally sounds like a dog barking in the room and like it's just the sound of it, but like yeah, so that
that's really
they
strange.
do have
Not heard of
evidence
that
of
one.
that, which was a bit.
Is it a dog ghost? Is it a dog rumble ghost? Because that's
It's not even a dog rumble
that's the
ghost.
thing.
Actually, yeah, no, there's a good piece of evidence here.
Okay.
Yeah, so um, the guy from the psychical community, he challenges the ghost to talk, and it starts talking through Janet.
Mm. That's in the
And
Conjuring, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
this did happen in the film. Um, so they figured out that the voice that Janet was doing was from the false vocal fold, not the larynx. So,
Mhm.
which they assumed it would be from the larynx. So to produce a voice from the false vocal fold it would be really hard to do over a long period of time. I mean, they interviewed her for as this being
Mhm.
for like a long time, maybe like an hour or so sometimes.
Can you just point on yourself to where the frontal whatever you just said the foot
I mean, I don't know.
because the
That's
larynx.
just what they said in the
Yeah.
documentary. I don't know exactly where it is, but it's apparently some part of your throat that like. So the voice that she does. I mean it, because there's a part where she's like, I guess the interviewer's like, "What are you?"
Mhm.
And then she's like, "I'm a GHOST."
He breaks down
Like
the
she does it
rap.
like that.
Yeah.
She turns into Phil Mitchell.
Yeah. Only Phil
And-
Mitchell lived and died in Enfield in the 70s. Wait, so
So she's constantly using that voice,
yeah,
like
that's like a head voice, I guess, isn't it? It's like you got a
what?
throat voice, you got like a chest. Your
It
normal
is,
voice is in
yeah,
your throat. I'm just like got my hand on my throat, and then maybe the frontal thing is gonna like yeah, it's like up in your head area. It
yeah.
feels like
It's
science.
definitely coming from a very deep sort of place. That's very you gotta tense a
Yeah,
lot. Like I couldn't
it's
do
not
that voice
comfortable.
for very long at all.
No. Okay.
Um. So the thing, I mean, she Janet as a grown woman is actually in this documentary a lot because she does a lot of like the talking head part of it,
All right.
and she seems very kind of she seems like someone that went through this genuinely.
Mm.
Like she seems very very just jaded and
Traumatized?
kind
Right.
of a bit tormented. Yeah, she seems
Right.
very kind of fragile.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, she says in the documentary that she would through this voice she would be kind of swearing and behaving childishly, which she herself now said like she felt really embarrassed about because
Yeah.
like obviously that wasn't her.
Yeah.
But then there's this like psychologist kind of cutting in every now and then, being like, well, if you were given the opportunity, if you were being given all this attention, and suddenly you were allowed to swear and just say whatever you
Yeah, you're
wanted,
given like a free
that's
pass.
like, yeah, every kid would want to be in that situation.
Yeah.
Like,
Would mess with people,
It
yeah.
would just be a game to like a kid that age.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so this is one of the most kind of solid pieces of evidence to me.
Okay.
Um, Janet perfectly describes in this voice how he died. This guy Bill.
Right.
Bill is the name of the name the ghost gives itself.
Okay. Oh yeah, I
Um,
remember now.
and so yeah, supposedly he went blind before he died, and then his wife went to the like shops, and then when she came back, he had died. He was sitting in because in the film, a big part of it is this chair that's in the corner.
Yeah. It's all
And I guess
chair.
they must have just got the house right after he died because they left the
Yeah.
chair there. It's this like scratched up, leathery, like
Yeah,
thick
died in chair.
Yeah,
Gross
this
as hell.
died in chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he died in the chair, and they play it back to his son. This story about her saying all of this,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Actually, like that's exactly what happened."
Okay, that's spooky. That's very yeah.
Which made me think, yeah, there's no way
She can know
that
that.
there's no way they can pull a fireplace out of the wall. There's no way they could have known how the guy before who lived there
Like, unless
died.
they would have talked to the son before, but I'm guessing he wasn't living
Yeah,
in the house, like, or next to
yeah,
anything like that.
yeah. I just don't think he would have
That
been
wouldn't come
involved.
in conversation generally.
No, yeah,
Like,
I don't
how
think it
did your
would.
father die in our house? Like that. Yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's weird.
Yeah. I don't
Um,
know.
yeah, and they actually like they have the footage of like 'cause they film his reaction to it and everything in the documentary,
yeah.
like him. Um,
Wait, they play it back in the 70s or played it back in now?
no, yeah, no, it's like 70s
Okay,
footage.
yeah.
Like so at the time they would have interviewed him.
Yeah.
And then yeah, so after that, so a year passes and Janet is admitted to Maudsley Hospital and told that she's fine. And she's sent home soon after that, and then things kind of just died down in the house.
Oh.
So eventually, it just did kind of, which didn't happen in the film.
No. Yeah, actually, I think it just died down. The end was pretty normal.
I think that script would have been thrown out immediately.
No, the guy sings Elvis, and then
Oh
they
yeah,
leave.
they do. Yeah, yeah. There's nothing to do with Elvis in this.
In the actual thing.
Know.
I don't know what that was even a
Nothing
reference
to do with
Is it just like he
dead
was
non-Marilyn Manson character.
was he wait. Was Elvis alive in the 70s? Was it just like here's a song people might know in the 70s?
I guess,
The
yeah,
mise en
maybe that was
scène.
to connect it to the time period. I don't know.
It's the dumbest thing. They just start singing an acoustic cover of it. And there's like a 5-minute long slow shot of all the children just listening to it like it's a Christmas special.
Yeah.
And then anyway, they carry on with the film. That just carries on this ridiculous Hollywood ending.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb.
So no one gets impaled in real life.
No, yeah, nobody gets impaled on a tree. She doesn't. Well.
I found the boiler thing. There's a bit in the
Oh yeah, she's all like mangled off inside the boiler.
For
That
no
didn't happen.
reason.
Apparently, I didn't write it down, but I remember they said that apparently they woke up once and she was kind of like upside down, with her legs up on the wall. Like so if you had a dresser and then like your back was laying on the dresser and your legs were kind of like that, so she kind of woke up in strange places sometimes.
That's really weird.
But again, that that could have been.
Kids are weird.
Yeah, the kids
Sometimes they
being
do
weird.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, other than that, there was apparently a postman and a lollipop lady who kind of were walking past the house and they saw Janet levitating, like through her bedroom window, or at least that's like what they thought they saw.
Yeah.
Um,
Are they sure she hadn't just gone really tall very quickly? It was a growth spurt. They're like, oh, yeah, that's
very
Janet.
possible. I mean, I think she was lying down and like going in a circle.
Oh,
That's the thing.
okay, that
So
makes sense.
like, yeah,
I mean, it doesn't make sense.
that'd have
but...
been harder to fake.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's just like their testimony. That's
Okay.
nothing. Really, that's why I just didn't write it down.
That's very strange.
I just remembered it.
Yeah. And then it descended. That's
Yeah,
Nothing else happened.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah, none of that bullshit in the boiler room downstairs, which definitely wouldn't have existed in a
Oh, like the knife
tiny
thing where they.
what?
Oh, there's just in the movie where like, she gets a knife and is like about to stab one of the brothers that are questionable in the film. Like their existence is
Mm.
questionable. Like
Yeah,
they're just. She's in the kitchen, I think.
yeah, I
She's just
kind of do
teleporting
remember that.
around. It's at
Yeah,
Christmas. It's like the Christmas bit.
yeah.
That's also
Yes,
cool.
I mean, yeah, towards the end of the film, she kind of gets very possessed, and it's a very Hollywood horror film ending
Yeah.
to something that was, if they'd actually followed everything properly,
Yeah.
like it would have probably been a bit creepier, really.
But then
But
I guess you can't have a Hollywood film that just ends like, and then it was fine. Actually, nothing else really
yeah, that's the
happened.
thing. Like
See you
that's how
around.
that's how all of these things end. It's just like so it slowly just dies out.
Yeah.
Like
Stops. So
yeah,
you need some kind of like climactic bit. But that was not the climactic bit we needed with her like Lion King holding her out the side of the window.
yeah,
It was just silly.
yeah. No, that was just silly.
Thank you.
That's,
Exactly that.
I agree.
What would you rate it out of? This is the new segment of the podcast. What would you rate The Conjuring 2 out of 10?
Um. Oh, jeez. Out of 10.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Please guess. You can do that.
Say it's
It's just out of
like.
10.
I
You can share
mean,
which
the
half it
first
is.
half is probably like a 7.5. I would say.
Actually, yeah. The first half
The second
might be
half gets
good.
ridiculous.
Real fast.
The
Oh,
first.
there's a basement, isn't there, as well?
Yeah, that's a little just load of shit.
Yeah.
But. Yeah, the first half is pretty interesting, and does kind of follow. I mean, even like to me, one of the creepiest parts was the bit where there's a part where Janet is like home alone one day
Mm.
from I guess she's like off school for some reason, and she's sitting and watching TV, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
like suddenly weird stuff starts happening.
Yeah, like the guy turns
Like
up on the TV and
yeah,
it's like kind of subtle, I think. Yeah, it's subtle at the beginning. Like my favorite bit is the bit
yeah,
where they're like interviewing her and the
yeah,
Conjuring Man is facing the audience, and then she's in the background on that chair, and her face just like slowly contorts into the old guy. But you can see like just very blurrily, like it's only shapes, and then it goes
yeah.
back to normal. That's
That
cool.
was a really good part.
Yeah, there's some spooky bits. Just
Yeah.
get silly.
Because that was the part where wasn't that where they put water in her mouth and then
Yeah, and she
they
still
did,
talks anyway.
yeah, they did talk about that in the documentary, but they didn't have any recordings of it.
Oh, okay.
Like, because supposedly they put water in her mouth to hear if she could still do this voice, and she could, but there was no recording of it. But that was a very interesting way
Mm.
that was something good that the film did.
Yeah, like I'm stealing that if I make any kind of film. That
Yeah,
was a really cool technique. Yeah, I give it uh 2 unimportant brothers out of 10
that makes
overall.
sense.
I think roughly. I
Yeah,
don't know what was
that's what it
just
deserves.
compared to the other ones we've seen recently, because
Mm.
Halloween.
Yeah,
It wasn't great.
yeah.
I think. But yeah.
All right.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I do have a couple of notes on the haunting in Connecticut.
The film or the thing?
Well, that's the thing.
Ah.
It's not the film.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a film made about it, but it wasn't overly interesting. But there's a couple, I guess, things that I could just say about it.
Yeah, because I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it. So this isn't in Connecticut yet, but this a mother takes her sick son to the hospital because he's got like a lump in his throat. And then the son is kind of admitted there for an extended amount of time.
Sure.
This
is some very
I've done my
plan.
research. So the family move. They move closer to the hospital. So I guess the hospital is in Connecticut.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
And they move to this colonial house near to where the hospital is, which used to be a funeral home.
Oh my goodness, there was no need for that. You could have
I
just
mean,
found a normal house.
Yeah, I guess maybe that was because like it was cheap enough because it was because it used to be that like
I
because
guess.
don't you have to disclose whether or not a house is haunted
No.
or something like that?
That's not...
I saw that as
Really?
a thing.
In
Yeah,
real life?
yeah.
I can't Google, can I? Like, I can't just stop a podcast to Google something.
I don't think you can.
Okay. That. Oh, I
But
guess
that's it.
that
I
checks
seem
out.
to remember I seem to remember hearing that a lot.
That means that goes to canon and that everyone
Everyone
acknowledges
has to
that ghosts
accept
are
that goes to
real.
canon, yeah.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
it's legal. But I mean, colonial houses are quite nice as well. Like they're pretty fancy. That's
Yeah, I
not
mean
just
it's a
like,
fancy looking house. Yeah, it
yeah,
looks
that's not
nice.
just like, oh, it was the cheapest one. That's like a nice
Yeah.
house.
But wouldn't you want to know if anything scary had
Oh
happened?
yeah, yeah. I just wouldn't move into it if it looked
Yeah,
nice and haunted.
exactly. That's why. That's why you gotta tell them because otherwise
Okay, yeah.
something could happen and they
Misleading.
wouldn't know, or you gotta make the decision. Like,
Yeah. So just think about that bit in The Simpsons, and doesn't that happen? At the Red
uh,
Room.
yeah, when Marge becomes a realtor and she has to
Yeah,
sell the horror house
yeah.
because like nobody can sell
That was really traumatizing. That was really
it.
creepy. Unrelated. Carry on.
Isn't she selling it to Ned?
Yeah, because
And
then
then at the end he's
the
like,
Red Room thing and the
yeah, he's like, purple drapes. I've always wanted a house that had purple
yeah.
drapes. Ah!
Yeah, it's like so good.
Yeah,
It's a really good episode.
it is good.
We just do a
Um,
podcast on House of Horrors instead. We
huh?
just do a podcast on Tree House of Horrors.
Yeah, that's not even
Yeah.
a Treehouse of Horror episode. That's just a good
Oh
one.
right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good. Carry on.
um. Yeah. So the I can't right. So let me see. The mother takes.
I'm hostile.
Okay. Yeah. So the mother takes one of her kids to the new house to
Mm.
pick his new bedroom, and she starts mopping the kitchen floor,
Yeah.
and apparently the water turns like a deep red color.
That's really messed up.
Yeah, and she gets someone to come and look at it, like
Mm.
to be like, "Am I just seeing this weirdly, or has
Mm.
this really happened?" And then apparently they just never like came back because
Wait, did they
they
say
were
that
too
whether it was
spooked.
real or not?
I mean,
Or they
I
just
don't know. That's literally word for word what she says in the documentary. Like, I went to get someone to come and look at it, and they just never came back.
so they just came in silently, looked down at the ground and left and
I mean,
moved
it's very
house.
possible. Yeah.
I would do that.
Um. So once they start living there, one of the kids, Matt, gets a lot more mean, and I think this was the kid that was sick. So I think he's
Okay.
on medication still, and they're kind of thinking like maybe it's because he's on medication that
Okay.
he's acting up.
He's not
I'm not entirely sure. Like I might have fucked this up. Um, but yeah, but one of them starts getting really kind of aggressive, and sort of they think maybe this is to do with a spiritual, a
Yeah.
paranormal thing. Um, and all the kids sort of after a while start seeing shadows and apparitions. So there's two coffin rooms in the basement.
Right.
So these were literally rooms where they would embalm like the bodies
Oh my god.
and they would bring people down there to kind of pick out which coffin they wanted and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Obviously, there's none of that stuff in there now, but there is still like a pulley system where they would lower the coffins and like put the bodies in the coffins and then raise them up
Okay,
into
yeah.
the building.
Yeah.
So that is still down there, and this kid chose this as his room. Like,
He's haunted.
yeah,
completely
why?
haunted.
Why that room?
I mean, you can do some fun, like, put a bucket of food in there and, like, just get snacks, I guess. Like a
Just
fun.
be fed like a demon.
Yeah, yeah. And then when he's, like, angsty teenager, they just. He doesn't leave his room. You can just put stuff. Read the facts. Read the story.
um. Right, yeah. So Matt's room is in one of the coffin rooms, and he would sleep with the lights on because he was so scared by all this stuff that he was seeing. But because the electricity bill was getting to be way too much, the dad takes all the light bulbs out of his room, which is like,
Bit harsh.
yeah, like in this terrifying
Unnecessary.
house, and
Yeah.
you're just gonna
Nope.
save a
not
bit
even
of
give you the
money.
option, Yeah.
Um,
Then don't get the colonial house. Like the beautiful colonial house used to be a funeral home if you want to save money.
yeah, exactly.
Messed up.
Yeah, but yeah, that was a big part of it. Like that, they just couldn't afford to. They couldn't afford to leave the house as well.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would have. So they were obviously like tight on money. And Matt wakes up one night and he sees his sister coming down the stairs and like trying to turn on the light. Um, so he goes over to her and he's like, "Oh no, like Dad took all the light bulbs out," and he like chases her up the stairs and
Why?
I don't know, just to be like, "Get out of my room."
Just be a dick about it.
Yeah, and the parents, I guess, who are just like still sitting in the living room, um, he runs into the living. Matt runs into the living room. Is like, where'd she go? And they're like, oh, your sister's been in bed like for hours. Like she's asleep in bed. And then he goes up to her room and she is like, yeah, she's asleep. She's asleep in bed. So what the hell did he say?
Yeah. She's been dead for 10 years.
Yeah.
Wait.
um. Oh yeah. So I mean, this was the difference between the Enfield Haunting and the Connecticut one in terms of the documentaries they made about them, because the Connecticut one was American, Enfield was English. They so at this point a crucifix fell off the wall in like one of the talking head bits.
Oh.
And yeah, everyone behind the camera was like, "There's no way that just happened."
Yeah.
Oh my god. And then, yeah, so it's I mean, it seems like they kind of just trying to get a bit spooky.
Yeah, trying to get a little theatrical.
Trying to really get their money's worth out of you. So Matt, just the next line I have here is Matt is committed to a mental hospital.
Oh, okay.
I guess maybe he's the only one seeing these things because he's on like medication.
Yeah,
it's possible.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. It's just hallucinations.
Yeah.
Bad medication. When was this again, sorry? When was this?
This, I don't think it was too long ago. It might have been. I haven't got a date. But I think I would say within the last 30 years.
Okay.
I would assume.
Yeah, because medication and like mental health treatment is probably not.
Yeah, it's probably changed quite a lot since whenever this was as well.
30 to 10 years ago, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Something in that window.
I mean, the film probably came out like 10 years ago, so probably.
Oh, okay.
I would say either 90s or 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah, so just other things that happened. Someone goes to the fridge and like all the food is rotten. Guess that's a haunted. I guess that's a haunted fridge.
Look at it and want something. It's haunted. I don't know.
Or just a broken fridge.
Yeah, either one.
And the Warrens from the from The Conjuring.
Yeah.
Are contacted.
In real life.
Yeah, so the Warrens are actually involved in this. And yeah, I wonder if they were actually in the like played by different people in the Haunting in Connecticut film.
Can't do it, can we? Can't look it up.
No, there was a lot of. They did use a lot of shots from the film to like establish. I mean, obviously they were talking to the real victims, but like
but just...
the victims, the people involved.
Yeah. Because it wasn't part of the Conjuring series, then, was it?
No, Conjuring was not even out then.
Okay, could they just use different actors? Like
so maybe, maybe they were just different actors. Then.
Alternate Warrens.
Yeah. So contacted. Everyone starts sleeping in the same room, which again seems to be like the thing that people do when you're in a haunted situation.
Don't move out, just sleep in the same room.
Yeah. I mean they couldn't move out, so that must have been the same for the Enfield family as well.
Yeah, I guess so. You can't just get a new house.
Because I mean in the film they couldn't afford biscuits really, so.
Oh
like...
yeah. Yeah. New house is fine. Cut down on the light bulbs.
Yeah, exactly. So the story goes public and it's on the news, and the family's becoming like segregated from all their friends because they sound crazy. And then this became like a very kind of Hollywood ending to everything, which I'm guessing that. I mean, it sounds like this film probably ended exactly the same way as Conjuring 2, pretty much. 3 priests arrived to perform an exorcism on the house, and yeah, that pretty much did it.
Oh, so okay.
that got rid of everything. Yeah. So they placed all these different kind of holy statues, I guess, around the house. And apparently a statue of a Madonna, um, like its hands broke off during the ritual,
Hmm.
and the Warrens kept that for their like prop room that they
Okay, so
have.
they really
So they
have
really have
that.
that room. Yeah, you can see it. You
That's
can
quite cool.
see in the documentary because they're kind of like going around that room,
Yeah.
and they show you this Madonna, and you can see the Annabelle doll in the background, but it it does not look anywhere near as creepy as it does in real life. Like
Yeah.
it's just kind of like a little just. I mean, for one, it's not a porcelain doll
Is it
with
like a
like a
stuffed
dress.
doll,
It's
isn't
like
it? It's like a
yeah, it's like a little stuffed
it's like the right
doll,
kind of doll.
like a little rag doll. It doesn't
Yeah.
look scary,
No.
but like
Yeah, the
yeah.
movie one is so ridiculous. It's like the
They
Chucky.
got like laser beams around it and
Yeah.
stuff to
Yeah.
stop it from like getting out.
Moving its arms
Yeah.
slightly.
Yeah, so apparently after that everything is fine with that house.
Okay. How's the end of the film?
I have not seen the film. The film looked pretty terrible.
Okay. Just the house that's on fire, and then like ghost wall or something like that.
Yeah.
Mm. I wanna see that.
Yeah, so the last thing I have is about the Salem witch trials.
Oh,
If you
oh,
want to
I
hear
have a
about
fact.
that.
I have a fact.
Do you? I wanna know
In the
actually
town
if it,
that we're, I'm gonna tell you.
if
In
it
the town,
correlates with my information.
I think it does.
Sure.
In the town we're from, can we say the town we're from?
Yes.
Bishop Salford, there is a person that was in the Salem witch trials.
Really?
Yeah.
How
They,
is that possible?
I don't know, they just traveled to, where is it again? Salem?
Yeah, Salem
In America.
is in New England.
Right, yeah.
Or
Yeah, they
was.
were, I don't know the name. George, his name, maybe was. He was in the, yeah, Salem witch trials. I think he died in it. That's kinda spooky,
Really?
yeah. Oh wait, and then another person was involved in another witch trial somewhere else, I think, from Salford.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's the only
I feel
interesting
like
thing
I
about
wrote the
Salford.
name George down somewhere actually.
I made it up.
Oh
But-
really?
yeah, but I really hope I didn't.
Okay. Was it the George who ran the George Hotel?
Yeah. Yeah. So in the Salem witch trials were in the 16th century, whatever.
1692.
17th century. Okay. Yeah, he's the same one that now runs the George. In
Right.
the year
Yeah.
Lord 2017.
He
Yes.
sailed back on a ghost ship
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
haunt a hotel.
Yeah.
All right.
Carry on.
So I didn't know anything about this really. Before I watched this documentary. So a reverend. Yeah. So it's New England. It's Salem, 1692. And a reverend's daughters have an unknown affliction.
Okay.
So they're having delusions and they're kind of writhing around and like being very kind of
Weird.
being very strange,
Mhm.
yeah. So at this point in time, if a doctor couldn't diagnose what it was, they would just put it down to witchcraft.
Right.
So
Okay.
it's all
Oh,
very
boy.
scientific.
That's a
okay?
mess.
Okay, so I just there isn't quite as a cohesive story here as I thought in my
I'm
notes.
just gonna patch this together slightly.
Yeah, so supposedly it was believed that no witch could say the Lord's Prayer. Like that's kind of how they would decipher
Okay.
whether or not you're a witch because
They
it's
just couldn't pronounce
literally
it, or like just couldn't say any of it.
Yeah.
What if you can't remember it? What if you
It's
got
hard
bad
to
memory?
remember.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it, but
That's weird though. That's not a
I
normal
literally
thing.
recited it to you before we
Yeah.
started this podcast.
Yeah, as you do every morning.
Just to, yeah.
We start the day. That's unfair. I'm gonna guess a lot of this is unfair though. So okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, another method for finding a witch was to make a cake using the afflicted person's urine, and then you would
No
feed the
need.
cake to a dog.
No
This
need
is
for this.
science. This is science. Who would then lead them to the witch? So the dog's got to eat the urine cake.
Urinal cakes. Is that?
Yeah,
what
they
that's
had
from?
urinals back then.
Yeah, but like that's a urinal.
Yeah, they
That's the thing.
assumed that witchcraft was science, but they had
And
urinals.
they just put that into culture. Just
Um,
like feed the dog the urine. Don't even, if you're gonna be weird about it, just feed it urine. Don't make a cake about it. Like that's really
don't make a
strange.
cake about it,
Yeah,
Jesus.
no. That's too much.
Yeah.
Unnecessary.
yeah, so yeah. But then they didn't really mention it after that. They didn't say like, and then the dog brought them to the reverend, and it was their
So it didn't
dad.
work.
No, they just said that that was something that
It
some people
just
did.
did a weird thing and it didn't work. Okay.
So it was believed that contaminated rye had physical and hallucinogenic symptoms that could have poisoned the reverend's daughters.
Oh, okay.
So there's this fungus called ergot fungus
Mm.
that can grow on rye that's gone bad, I guess. Um, and from this fungus is what LSD actually derives.
Oh.
So it's very possible that during this time a lot of people were having delusions and hallucinating, and it's no wonder that people thought that there was witchcraft involved
Yeah.
and that they were seeing the devil and all this
Oh
shit
my
because
god.
they were pretty much yeah tripping
It's like
balls.
the first time that anyone ever found out this was a thing. That LSD
Yeah,
was oh my god.
yeah, and we were talking about Dancing Plague recently as well,
Oh yeah.
and that mentioned ergot fungus as well.
Oh.
Um,
Why are people taking this voluntarily?
so,
Just wondering.
well, they don't know. They're just eating rye.
No, I
They
mean
don't know it's bad.
nowadays.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
It's like fucking dancing plague.
Well,
It's
now
got
people
plague in
get
the name.
yeah,
Don't do it.
yeah. I mean,
It's a bit different.
yeah.
It's mildly
Dancing till
different.
you're exhausted and die. Dancing till you die of exhaustion. That's I guess
That's
I guess they would consider anything that killed you back then just a plague. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, fuck it. It's plague.
they were just high. Um. So let me see. Cases of women afflicted by fits and bewitching start rising after this.
Sorry, why isn't it men? Like, why are men affected by this?
Well, actually, they kind of are, but that's an interesting point
Well, they
because
just...
the men that are involved are a lot more sort of the finger point at them is that you're the devil and stuff like that, like that you're the one afflicting these people
Oh,
rather than
you are also high levels.
rather than the fact that you're a witch or something like.
Okay.
But yeah, no, yeah,
So the men are like in their idea, the men are causing, and like cursing people. And
yeah.
the cursed people are witches.
Um. So. Oh yeah, no. Before this, so they're still kind of at war with the Native Americans, and the Wabanaki tribe attacks Salem, and this sort of long-standing truce with the natives is starting to come to an end. And after this is when a lot more people are getting afflicted with these symptoms. Um, so the Reverend had a slave girl who was believed to be the witch that was causing all of this, and the slave girl was pushed to confess at an examination. So this is what would happen before they were sent to jail, and then they'd be tried.
Okay, alright.
So this isn't a trial yet, but it looks like one pretty much.
Okay.
And while she's sitting there, kind of being said like, "You must confess, demon woman."
Yeah.
Like all these women in the stalls, like in front, sitting and watching it, just being ridiculous and just like rolling around and just being really exaggerated. Like, oh god, she's got me. And
They're having a game with them. That's ridiculous.
yeah, it really gets out of hand. What was it? Yeah, so eventually the slave girl says that she saw a figure, a man who recently told her to sort of do his bidding, but she denied him. And it's pretty obvious that this was meant to be like the devil.
Yeah.
Who supposedly kind of appeared to her as like a hog or like a big black dog.
Oh, because in The Witch, the film, it was like a goat, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like
So
a black goat.
yeah, so it seems like there are certain animals that the devil appears as
Yeah.
more often than not.
That all exist in 17th century England, which is pretty convenient.
Yeah.
It's pretty useful. Wasn't a cheetah or anything like that. Just like emerging from the
Did they
forest.
not exist in the 17th century?
I think they did actually.
Wasn't a
'Cause
mammoth?
no, cheetahs existed, I think, but no one knew
He
what they
appears
looked like.
there as a velociraptor.
And just absolutely on LSD. Like, there's no question about it now.
So the afflicted women are chanting back to her the words that she's saying, and that is treated as a confession. So basically, if you confess, then it's like confirmed that you're a witch, pretty much.
Okay.
So she offers up the names of other women in the town who are the witches, and then she's taken to jail to await trial. And women are becoming sort of more hysterical and accusatory to the women at these examinations, and it's really getting out of hand. Like this whole witch thing. It's really
Getting a bit much now,
yeah,
actually.
it's a new craze.
Yeah.
So 10 women are held in jail for sort of months at a time. Which was essentially just a wooden barn with a bucket for like a toilet.
Yeah.
So it was very bad conditions.
Yeah.
And they were treated very just like not human.
Yeah.
Basically, just like this is a place to keep you.
And have they also got like the symptoms of the Ugger thing?
I guess they
Also
must do. Yeah, 'cause
hallucinating
they
and
must
stuff
be
like that.
feeding them, but maybe it must be this contaminated. Well, actually, no. These women don't. Yeah, no, these women aren't like the ones that are acting strange.
Oh, okay.
These
right.
are the ones that are accused of being witches.
Okay, that are
the
like
ones
cursing the
that-
ones
yeah.
acting straight. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's a good point that like all the people who are going over the top at these examinations are mainly women.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Like that must. Yeah. Yeah. Why is that? Like they must.
I didn't even think about that. I was watching it.
Because the men must be. So the men of the devil, why aren't they being put in prison?
Well,
Because you can't imprison the
I
devil.
think
can ask
I
that
think that does
question.
come up in a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, so the women in jail were interrogated and stripped for witch teats.
What? Uh-huh.
Which was supposedly so that the devil would communicate with them through animal familiars, as we were talking about, who would suck blood from their witch
Oh,
teats.
I'm uncomfortable. That's the
think
worst.
It might be
image.
blood. It might just be like I don't know. But
Yeah.
it was like there's some bodily connection
Right.
between them and like the devil, basically.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing about Salem was that it was split into two sides, pretty much exactly. There were the church supporters and the opponents of the church.
Mm.
And what was interesting was that the opponents of the church were primarily the ones being accused of witchcraft.
Okay.
So there was this
right.
very like the accusers were all coming from the church, the ones that wanted the church,
Yeah.
and all those that didn't want it were being accused. So there was a very clear kind of religious and
bias.
political bias towards these people on the opposing. There was a very clear divide in the town.
Yeah.
And this seems like it was just kind of what it was boiling up to
Yeah.
all along, really. That there was just there's definitely an agenda to it.
So it's fake. Which is completely fake. This whole time.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's just a dumb argument about the church and state. Not actually surprising at all.
Yeah. Yeah, so I didn't know that. I found that
Oh,
interesting.
yeah.
And obviously there were no attorneys or lawyers or anything at the time, so these women just literally had to just defend themselves in court. And like, what the hell can you say if you're the only person in a room full of people who think you're weird?
Yeah. I'm not a witch. Oh, sweet. Okay.
That's
Never
exactly what they would say.
Exactly.
So, the spectating women would become more hysterical and engage in mass hypochondria, which was where women would see other women kind of like falling down and like pointing and like just being
Freaking out.
very freaking out,
Mm.
really freaking out, and they would just think, oh, that's what I'm meant to be doing, so like more women
Oh.
would just join in. And
Yeah.
it's obviously very kind of not witchcraft, but just
Yeah.
very
Super vague.
very social thing, a very social
Yeah.
divide. So after a while, Bridget Bishop became the first accused victim in this witch trial, and she was the first person to be hanged, the first witch to be hanged in Salem, witch in quotes.
Yeah, disclaimer, not
Um,
a witch.
So the fucked up thing that they would do to these women was, I always assumed that it was that they burned witches, or at least
Oh,
in
they put
the
them in
trials
water
that
or
they did.
something
Or
like
they
that.
or that they
So
strapped them
drown
to a
them.
chair and like dunked them and saw whether or not they drowned.
Yeah.
Which
they
is
died
apparently
either way.
not what they did. They might have done that in other places.
Yeah.
But in these trials, they, instead of dropping them into a like noose in like conventionally, so I would hang them.
Yeah.
Instead of doing it the conventional way, they would have them standing on a ladder, just to where the noose was sort of like tight around the neck,
Yeah.
so they could just about stand, and they would slowly pull the ladder away, so that instead of breaking their neck, it would just strangle them to death, and
Oh
it
my
would be a
God.
lot more severe and like horrible.
Long as well.
Yeah, and it would take a lot longer.
Was that just to punish them, or was it? So it wasn't to see if they're witch at all, or not?
No, yeah, that had nothing
was
to do
just
with
to
it. It
mess
was
with
just
them.
just a messed up kind of probably just to
So
punish the Satan within them
Literally nothing.
when they're literally
Did
just.
they know they were lying? Like, did they know did they really believe it was a witch, or did they know
I
that
think
was just...
they did. Yeah, because there's
Okay.
clearly if this fungus was literally making people feel this way so vehemently. I think back then I think people would have thought this
believe it,
was
yeah,
real.
panicked.
This was actual witchcraft.
Yeah.
So many more of the women are sentenced, but only those who actually confessed were allowed to live, or those who gave
Okay.
names of other witches were allowed to live because
Right.
they were sort of
On their side, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
they were seen as like, oh, okay, maybe like only a witch would not confess.
Yeah. Logic. Of
So
course.
everyone's getting pretty paranoid right about now, and so a man is actually sentenced. I didn't write his name down, but as he's standing within the noose, he starts reciting the Lord's Prayer,
Oh,
which
twist.
witches can't do.
Yeah.
But they killed him anyway.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fine.
because it was this guy who so this guy who's being hanged here, who is being accused of being a witch, a guy that he knows from a different town comes to watch, and as he recites the Lord's Prayer, everyone's kind of like, what's going on? Like this, like witches can't do that. And then this guy who came to watch him die, who clearly had something against him,
Yeah.
was like, like he managed to convince everyone that just like, it doesn't mean shit. Like, just kill him anyway.
So I came here to see somebody hang.
I came
I'm
here
getting
to
it.
watch a hanging.
I'm gonna
I'm gonna
fucking get
fucking
it.
see a hanging.
That's so rude. So
Yeah.
like so everyone was about to let him go, and he was like, "No, it's fake."
Yeah, everyone was kind of like, yeah,
Convinced.
just a bit not sure anymore, but yeah. So another man refused to confess, and they tortured him into confessing by they laid him down on like a patch of grass, and they put rocks, like an increasing number of rocks,
Oh, I
over
know
his
this-
body.
Yeah, I've heard this guy is really metal.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and they kind of over the course of 2 days, they just kept putting more rocks on his body and leaving him there and sort of starving him and stuff. And then after 2 days, when they asked if he wanted to confess, he replied, "More weight."
Yes. It's
which
cool as
is
hell.
yeah, that
Like
was pretty
horrifying,
metal of
but
him.
yeah,
Yeah,
cool as hell.
just like
Rocks. Like kudos.
like you think this is rocks?
Yeah. No, this is wrong.
Yeah, and then they put more weight on him, and he died. Obviously,
Yeah.
they just killed him. So everything's getting a bit out of hand, and a lot
It's
more
getting
people.
a bit out of hand. It's not out of hand yet, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
At
Oh
this
yeah.
point. We're
Yeah,
not
it's
there
not
yet.
even. Yeah, no, it's pretty much. This is like the height of witch mania,
Yeah.
and yeah. So a lot of people, it's getting so out of hand that people are actually kind of retracting their initial accusations and being like, "This is getting a bit crazy." Like, so many people are getting killed over
Yeah.
this. Like, maybe I was just a bit like.
Hyped up on
I
this
was
whole
a
witch
little-
thing.
Yeah, I got really into it.
Yeah.
And no.
Feeling a bit foolish.
Yeah,
at this
I
point.
think it was just a phase. So, people just stop confessing altogether. So, like, they feel like, it's not effective what they're doing.
Yeah.
They
No, great
like
thing.
nobody's confessing, so they think this is probably just not a good idea to keep doing this. And a plea is written to the court about the situation, which eventually dissolves the court, and then the women in jail are freed because this all kind of dies down, and it's sort of like letters are written to the courts basically saying like this is barbaric, and like they bring in people from different towns to kind of analyze what's been going on, and it all kind of fizzles out because it's mental.
Yeah.
And the women in jail freed, although 3 women did die waiting for trial in jail.
Right.
Because, yeah, it would have just been like a shit time in
Yeah. It's just a bit of a shit time.
there. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
So again, it just kind of like
Yeah, it
just
fizzles out, as everything does.
Yeah, I
Nothing is
agree.
as climactic as the movies.
No, that must be such a hard time for horror movie filmmakers, trying to think of a good ending for all this shit when nothing happens. Like,
Yeah,
what?
I can't really think of a horror film where the ending isn't like a big dramatic.
Like scene of them
thing.
like screaming at a ghost or
Yeah.
something.
Actually, It Follows was not very dramatic at the end at all.
Yeah, that was the only realistic one, I guess. They
Yeah.
just kept going, which I kind of like. I kind of like the ones that are like. Oh no, wait, The Descent.
That was pretty goddamn dramatic.
No, it was really dramatic, but it just ends.
That just got stupid.
But it ends just like, oh, she's still, spoilers, she's still in a cave.
Oh,
That's
okay,
it.
yeah.
Just kind of like there
Yeah.
wasn't a good ending. It's just like, oh, it just doesn't.
Yeah, it's not like everything turned out fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I guess is what kind of happens. Yeah, I feel like that's be like a big, like Babadook is another one where they're just like having a big screaming match, and it gets again a bit stupidly dramatic, and
Yeah.
then it's just like,
I
oh,
think
it's
that
fine
turns
now.
out fine though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In the like the very last scene is usually like peace is resolved.
Yeah, I think isn't there like there's like still a thing in a basement, and that's a bit weird.
In what?
The Babadook. Spoilers.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's something about I haven't seen it for ages, but there's something about the dad, I think.
Yeah, he's the ghost, possibly. I
Yeah.
think. And he's like living in the basement because there's all this stuff in the basement, and then it ends with him.
Yeah, it's
And they
something
take
like
some
that. I
cake
really
down
can't
the
remember.
basement.
Yeah.
I think they're just landing it on, and it's
Yeah, because don't they trap it in the basement wherever
Yeah.
the Babadook is, and then they kind of
just live with
learn to
it.
tame it. Yeah, that's what it is because because it's about like this. I guess it's really about this maternal angst and like the
being left with a son, like being left with like the only parent.
being like the only parent, a single parent caring for a child, and like having this aggression in you that's kind of sort of coming out in negative ways
Yeah.
towards the kid, and like taming that is
Yeah.
basically what it seems like the film is saying that happens.
Yeah, like
'Cause
grief
she has
and
to go
stuff.
and like feed her demons basically.
Yeah. Which
Literally.
is really strange. And that's really the 2017 nuclear family. Like that's the
What's
modern
that?
family. Your
Oh,
ghost,
nuclear
your ghost
fa-
dad
oh,
that
right,
lives in the
okay, yeah.
basement that you feed cake sometimes.
It's the white picket fence family.
Yeah,
We've got the
it's-
ghost dad in the
Yeah.
basement.
You sometimes get some cake. No dogs are being strangled anymore.
Yeah.
And that's life when you think about it. That's really it. I think... I'm actually surprised there hasn't been a film about the Crescent Hotel. Like, there's been...
Yeah, there must be. There's gotta be.
I think there is. Because I've read a fair bit about it now.
Yeah.
And there just isn't. I guess because it's kind of inconclusive. And it only relies... Like, there's been no, like, big climactic bit apart from, like, the fire thing.
Yeah.
Like...
Do you want to say
hold
about
on.
the Crescent Hotel?
Okay. So
Because you know more about it than I do.
yeah, I'm quite interested in it, but I have no dates or
Yeah.
concrete facts.
Oh, that's alright.
So-
Information doesn't matter.
That's cool.
It's a hotel in America, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got the domain name americasmosthaunted.hotel.com. So that's how you know it's
right.
real. Yeah,
Okay.
they've really got it.
That's how you know.
So I can't remember the dates. I'm gonna say in the 19th century, it started as an all-girls school, and which was all normal. It was all fine, and then a girl fell from the 4th floor and died. So that's the first death. Basically,
Yeah.
it's a hotel with a history of like very specific deaths. And then sometime after that, it was a secondary school or all-girls school for like 10 years or so. Like, it was generally fine. And then a guy called... it's gonna be his name. It's not gonna be his name. Norman Jones. That's not his name.
Is that his name?
It's not his name, but it's like...
The face you made it seem like you made it up.
I'm not gonna say that, but I'm pretty sure I made it up. Like, it's... I cannot remember his name, but it's some kind of like old Victorian sounding name. Basically, this
Okay.
guy comes into Eureka Springs, is where it is.
Yeah, I remember that name.
Yeah, because it doesn't sound real at all. I didn't make that up. That's a real thing.
Mm.
And he is just rich, and I guess charismatic, because he comes in setting up this cancer hospital, and then claims he has a cure, but he has no doctor's license. He has no proof of anything.
Right. Yeah.
But people come like rushing over to stay in this hotel, or this hostel. It's not a hotel yet. And obviously everybody dies because he has no kind of cure. So it just like cons.
It can't just be him.
He's
what?
the guy
He's
running
the only
it.
one
He's just convinced everyone.
working on everyone.
I'm not
Does
really
he not have
sure.
staff?
He has staff, yeah, because apparently one of the nurses haunts it.
Right.
But he has like a whole. It's a running hospital, I guess. But everyone just believes that he's a doctor, and like no one thought to ask, "Hey, can I just see like a piece of paper that says you're a doctor, just real
Yeah.
quick?"
I mean, generally you do. Like, I don't think I've ever been like, "Whoa, buddy." Like, let me
When
see
you're
some
in a hospital.
qualifications. I know you're in a hospital and
That's 'cause
wearing
they
a
have-
doctor's coat right now, but
Like, I'm gonna assume you didn't just rub those clothes on someone and they're in like a basement somewhere right now.
yeah.
No, like a Scooby-Doo villain. But I can't really remember what.
I guess you would just assume that they were telling the truth.
Yeah, it
like,
was
why
really-
wouldn't? I mean,
If you're one, if like he was just rich, like I think, but I
Yeah.
guess people just assume like if you have that much money and you're gonna start a whole hostel about it, you're probably telling the truth.
Yeah.
He wasn't. So that only lasted for 3 years. So I guess at some point people realized he was lying. But by that point, like loads of people died. And then while they're renovating it for the hotel
mm,
to happen, I think this is sometime in the 1900s at this point. Apparently, an Irish builder guy fell from the 4th floor.
yeah.
And oh yeah, sometime in the renovation, the 4th floor caught on fire. as
So is
well.
it always the 4th floor that
Yeah.
people fall? Mm,
Which is really
that's
weird.
interesting.
Yeah, I think that's the top floor.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say.
Mm.
So yeah, guy fell
So
from
the 4th floor
floor.
caught on fire. Caught on fire.
Caught on fire. The whole 4th floor caught on fire, and yeah, just the 4th floor, which is really strange.
Yeah.
So far we got the girl falling from the 4th floor when it was
Yeah.
school. We got everyone dying when it was the cancer hospital.
Mhm.
And apparently the owner and a nurse haunt the 4th floor. It's the top floor, whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's like 3 rooms that are like confirmed haunted, and they're like the most sought after rooms. So then
Yeah.
the third one is this Irish builder called Tom. I'm pretty sure it was Tom. Who apparently just it's a bit of a mischief, bit of a lad. Just kind of like moves stuff around the room. Like apparently he's not that spooky, but he's confirmed haunted.
Yeah.
And then more recently this summer, a guy fell off the 4th floor and died.
This summer.
Yeah, this summer, 2017.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, just the 4th floor. I don't know if it's just because like maybe it's really.
What if he got pushed?
That's what people say. I mean, okay, apparently there's a bar on the 4th floor, and people think he just. I think I
Got
remember reading the
drunk and
article. Yeah, like no one said that it didn't look like he got pushed. It looked like he fell. So I don't know if there's just some really uneven footing on the 4th floor,
Yeah.
or like maybe they need rails if they haven't thought about that yet. But really, that's the weirdest part for me. Um, I'm just getting a lot of this from like watching a lot of YouTube videos where
Yeah.
people go to the hotel and talk about their experiences.
I
But
mean, there's no documentaries or anything, so that's about as close as it would get
yeah, it's
to
kind of
actual.
yeah, because they all have like recordings of like
Hmm.
footsteps when no one's walking around, like boot footsteps,
Yeah.
or like oh, one of the nurses like tells that she's around is that you can smell like perfume, like
Yeah.
lavender perfume. Um,
That's another thing that makes me wonder, like, what are the ghost laws of like,
yeah, is every ghost the same? Like
can you smell? Does the smell?
I've
Does
heard
the
smell
smell follow
before.
you? But I've also heard like people who would go to like an inn, a haunted inn,
Mm.
like an old pub. They would smell food cooking. That like if like a cook died there,
Yeah,
they would smell the food that they would have cooked, but there's like no food being cooked anywhere.
that's
And it's
really
like,
spooky.
what?
Because I
What
don't know,
is
because
that? Is that?
when you're in a pub, maybe you're hungry, so you smell food. Because that happens sometimes. I'm like, why can't I smell this really
But like a
specific
really
food?
strong kind
If
of.
more than one person can smell it as well, then
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty suspicious. Um, oh, another thing about the Crescent Hotel is that they have cats. They have haunted cats.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
rumble
good.
cat ghosts, which is really cute.
Do they rumble?
I hope so. I like to think so. And I think, oh yeah, they do tours as well. This isn't hashtag sponsored, but they do like tours of the going from the top floor where the owner of the like cancer store and the nurse stayed, right down to the morgue.
Oh
Because
shit,
there's a
there's a
morgue at
morgue
some
there as
point,
well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like not anymore, but
Fuck,
like where
this
it was,
place
and
has
there's
gotta
like
be
a
haunted.
freezer where they kept bodies and stuff like that, and they can do a thing where you stay in the freezer for like 10 minutes, see if anything spook happens.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
oh, you're gonna watch it, but there was this Ghost Hunters episode where they went there,
Yeah.
and apparently that's like one of the only episodes where they see a ghost on the camera or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, in like the morgue bit, on like a door or something like that.
Hmm.
Sounds terrifying.
Like in a way, I kind of feel YouTube videos about these places are more genuine than like ghost
Yeah,
hunters. I believe, yeah, because they're not gonna have the budget to fake things like that. Like, I mean,
yeah,
obviously they could fake stuff, but it's like if you really did see something, I would believe it more if it was a YouTube
yeah,
video.
because it feels like
Ghost hunters is like
that feels really staged.
it's like they need the scares to
Yeah,
get like views,
yeah, and ratings and stuff.
ratings.
Which I
Yeah,
guess YouTubers like they might want to get views as well,
yeah.
but and there's like less at stake if they don't get
But I
that.
think there are genuinely people who are more
Yeah,
into like I want to believe
yeah,
than
yeah. They all
like
seem really into it, and I
yeah,
trust that. I trust
yeah.
their passion, and they. I don't know. I don't see why they would lie so consistently for so long. And I think
Yeah.
you can tell. I don't know. It feels like you can tell more when someone's acting on YouTube than when they're just like talking to a camera, talking like naturally, and then when they've got
Mm.
like the little like clips of audio, whatever. I don't know. I feel like they're more thorough and more, yeah, more believable. But
Yeah. And then all like interlaced with talking heads, like just being like, "Oh my God, when I got to the bottom of the
yeah,
stairs,
there's like
I
orchestral
just
music
I
playing.
I froze."
Yeah, it's like, and then
Yeah, and then they
just
play in like music and stuff, and it's
and a
like,
reenactment, a
yeah,
shaky black and white reenactment of somebody walking, someone looking really shocked as
yeah.
they're saying this. No, it's just them being like, yeah, it was spooked.
What's the name
Bizarre.
of the girl, the YouTuber
Oh,
who does kind of
Kay...
paranormal story
Kayla Rebecca, I
videos?
think.
Yeah.
Rebecca Kayla. One of the
Yeah,
last
it's
names.
something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, she's really good.
Yeah.
She's in loads of those recently. Another one I watch is Hayley Reese, who's a bit more, like, not act. She's just a lot more up as a person, like a lot more,
Yeah.
a lot. Whereas
Mhm.
Kayla Rebecca feels a bit more like,
She's very serious about what she does. I guess she wants to be taken seriously.
yeah,
And because she says a lot of things that are quite outlandish, and like you have to have a bit of an open mind to go along with
yeah,
the stories.
yeah.
But she says it with like enough conviction to be like,
Oh yeah.
if you watch enough of them, you feel weird. Like,
Yeah, that's all I want from ghost videos
Yeah.
on YouTube.
yeah,
How would you rate ghosts out of 10?
I love ghosts. No, I
Not.
fucking hate ghosts. Ghosts are the worst. That was like my biggest fear. Like anything to do with
Of all
ghosts,
the
I
like
hate
horror
it.
movie things.
Huh?
Of all the horror movie things.
Yeah,
like
more than
person,
being murdered by someone in a mask. Like
ghosts are the worst. Actually,
ghosts just mess me up.
Yeah. Because you.
I don't think I could go to the Crescent Hotel.
Oh no, I don't want to do that either. I would. I don't know if I'd go to anywhere that's like said to be haunted.
Yeah,
I think I could go there. I just couldn't stay there overnight or anything like that. That'd
yeah.
be a nightmare.
Even then, I might be paranoid that like something followed me home, and then
Oh
like
no.
I don't know, just to see things that I can't explain, just really messes me up, like for a long time. Like I think there's probably only like 2 instances of things like paranormal things like that happening to me.
Wait, what are they? I think you told me about
Well, the first one was pretty straightforward thing when I was probably in like primary school. I was sitting downstairs with my brother and my mum, and we were watching Lord of the Rings. I remember very specifically.
Your favorite.
I don't know. And yeah, my brother was sitting next to the TV, and there was like a stack of coins on top of the TV, sort of about a foot away from him, I guess. And they suddenly just like flew at him, and
What?
I don't remember anyone really acting like it was that weird. Is what's strangest to me in
That's
my
super
mind.
weird. Was it like? So it wasn't just like they collapsed on themselves? They
No,
had a
they
direction.
definitely
That's really strange.
like. It's so clear in my mind seeing that happen, and like it doesn't feel like something that I can explain or like I can put down to me being so young that it's like maybe I saw something I didn't. Like I definitely saw that,
Yeah.
and it's like it didn't seem as if the TV was on so loud that like the vibration could have done that.
Yeah, and so in one very specific direction.
Yeah,
That's not
yeah,
how it
literally
works.
at him like a stack of
And it's not
coins
like a breeze came
and
by.
hit him. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's no way that it would
No.
have been anything like that.
That's
It's
so
such a weird thing to me. And then like yeah, and then we kind of went to bed a bit after that, and I just remember very clearly like laying on my bunk bed, looking down, like still watching Lord of the Rings 'cause it's a fucking long film,
scary.
still on.
Days have passed. We're still
Yeah,
watching it.
it's still the first one. And yeah, I just could not sleep at all. Like I was just so messed up by what I saw.
Yeah, and did you not care? Was you just not care?
Well, nothing like that's really ever happened since then, so I didn't really. I got over it like
Yeah.
very quickly. But it's just
What's
it's just the one thing that's like, it's just very strange. And
Yeah.
then the other thing, because I used to work in a hotel, and the cash office, which has all the CCTV in it,
Oh yeah.
I was sitting in there with a girl because I used to do the night shifts there, so I'd work from 11 p.m. till 7 a.m. and I would come in at like 10 to 11, and the other girl, I would be the only one working in the hotel overnight. Like I would be the only person there. So
Which is
it's
scary.
surprising. Yeah, it's surprising that I didn't see more weird shit, to be honest. But I was sitting in the cash office, and so you've got the reception desk, and then behind that is a doorway, and then at the cash office it's just a small room with CCTV, and through that doorway you can see two double doors that lead into the dining area. And this building is like in the middle of like nowhere, pretty much. I mean, not in the middle, but it's like
It's
it's
sort of about like fields and like a motorway.
it's very separate from the whole town.
Yeah.
So it feels like the kind of place that could be haunted. And yeah, I was sitting there with this girl, sort of taking over from her shift while she's cashing up the money from her shift, and I'm sitting facing away from the CCTV, so there's like 9 separate views that you can see on the screen. It's all kind of divided up into 9 like cameras.
Yeah.
I'm sitting facing away from that, and we're just talking, and she's kind of like glancing up at it every now and then. And while we're just talking, I just I see out the corner of my eye, so through that doorway and through the double doors, I see like someone going past and going like through the doors, and I hear the door bang as it does when it closes. I just think, oh, someone's going to the bar because it's a 24-hour bar.
Yeah.
And and then this girl I'm talking to is looking over my shoulder, looking up at the CCTV, like petrified. Because she wasn't actually looking at what I saw.
Right.
But because I saw her face, I quickly turned around to look at the screen, and there's a camera that shows the whole when you go through those double doors that I'd just seen close,
Mm.
there's a camera that shows the hall. It's like a long hall that goes up to the bar,
Mm.
and there was nobody there.
Mm.
Nobody had gone through that door, despite what I'd seen.
Yeah.
But she said to me that she'd seen like a shadow move past the camera perspective on the entrance. So at the exact same time that I'd seen that happen,
Yeah.
she'd seen something else weird happen.
In the same area.
And then yeah, in a very similar area.
Right.
And then she was just like, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
I'm winning.
Good luck. I hope you don't die.
Did you?
I was so paranoid that night. Like, I was freaked out. I should not have even been, like, working. Because I hate, like, that kind of stuff as it is. But, like,
You're just
I was
stuck in a
looking
room
behind
alone.
me the whole time.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, I have to be alone pretty much without, like, I can have the TV on, but not in every room, obviously.
Yeah.
And, like, I have to be going around the whole building. I have to be going down corridors, silent corridors at night. Like,
Oh my God.
thinking about this the whole time.
Yeah.
Looking behind my shoulder constantly because I'm, like, just so freaked out.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I
Actually
made
wouldn't
it
believe
through, but, yeah, I was just so exhausted after that night. Like, it was
It's
a
a
really
real
weird
Five
thing.
Nights at Freddy's. Like with the CCTV thing and everything.
Yeah.
That's horrible. But
Exactly.
again, you can't make a movie out of it because nothing happened.
Exactly. In real life, nothing really happens. I mean,
That's
things
it.
happen, but
No, that's it. Nothing really happens.
but then nothing.
Yeah. That's
So
such a
that was pretty scary. But do you have any
I have nothing. Like I
things that you can't explain even?
no, I can explain all the things. Like when I was staying around a friend's house when I was in what was I like 9, 10 or something like that. I remember I was like just in their room, friend was asleep, I was awake 'cause I'm always awake.
Yeah.
And them well, it was just their mum walked past the door, but I saw a woman in like a white nightgown and I freaked the fuck out, forgetting that parents exist.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure I woke her up. Like I just saw a ghost, and she was like, "What?" And then her mum walked back across like the corridor again to go to her room again. She's like, "That's my mum." I was like, "Okay."
But the person that you saw the first time, did it look like
it
the
was just,
same
like,
person the
I was
second
kind
time?
of like, it was dark,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was the same height, the same dress, and the same like. It was
Still,
kind of
like
blurry at
someone in a
first.
long nightgown, like that's what you'd expect a ghost to
Yeah,
look
just,
like.
like,
So
floating
that's
down.
fair enough.
Yeah, it was just completely fake and a real person in the end.
Oh,
That
so
was
you
it.
saw something logical that you can't explain.
Yeah, welcome to
That's
the scary podcast.
I'm scared.
Yeah, like I don't think of anything else though. Like,
Mm.
should I think? No,
No.
no, I've nothing.
Oh yeah, it does. I don't feel like I'm one of those people that it happens to a lot. Like I don't. I really nothing has happened since, and that was maybe a year or two ago that hotel thing happened.
Yeah.
And the other thing happened when I was way younger. So it's a yeah.
Within this
Some people
house?
feel
So,
yeah. I was in this
it
house,
was in this
but
very house.
Huh?
Okay, it was in
yeah, this very house
that's good.
downstairs. But like nothing ever has really happened since then. That's
Okay.
made
Okay.
me.
Can you pretend that something's happened? Can you make one up, please, real quick?
Um.
Oh, the glass just moved.
Whoa!
I can't believe it's haunted.
That glass is haunted.
Just that glass. Only that one. The house actually isn't haunted.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the like sound forms.
I'm sorry
behind
for that scream. It's just really blown out the
Deafened millions.
audacity there.
Yeah.
I do also want to say for just in terms of watching scary stuff that aren't films, Rob Dyke, his videos are very, very good.
Yeah.
Good production, good topics, like, and he also does stuff kind of about like real life murders and things like that are really like
Horrible.
just
Like
really horrible. But he's such a nice kind of presence that it's like you don't feel gross.
safe.
Yeah, you feel safe
In
with
his
him
house.
kind of taking you down this rabbit hole. And there's kind of illustrations, like it's sort of like tasteful illustrations as you go, as he's telling the stories of
Yeah.
these like horrific things, which make it kind of like a an easier kind of way to ingest the
Yeah, he
information.
gets the point across in a lot of different ways. Like it's all very easy to like listen to and watch, I guess.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Is it gross?
Yeah, so.
But yeah, I really like it. I like the serial killer files, whatever it's called. I think it's got
Yeah.
2 different names for the thing that's really long series.
Hmm.
Really like those. His voice is just very comforting.
Yeah.
Very
It's
trustworthy.
like comforting, but also like there's a bit of grimace to it.
Yeah, like he's a bit spoonful what he's saying.
Yeah. Like he
how
can
you
do
not
it
be?
like really well, like, and they met their fate.
Yeah.
Well, I can't I couldn't think of something to
Just
say,
kidding.
but
Yeah, it's like a lot of pauses.
yeah, he really has the cadence down, like, and they met a grizzly and
Yeah, it is
like
that kind
like
of
that kind of really
just that
theatrical.
over and over again.
He's yeah, his videos are really good
Yeah.
and okay, spooked. Get spooked.
Oh my god. Possessed you for a second.
Oh.
I don't think I know any other YouTubers. Documentaries even. Yeah, I would just watch the 2 that I mentioned earlier just because they've, for all of October that we're still in, they've done a video every day about like visiting haunted locations or story times in like
Yeah.
the haunted houses and stuff like that. So that's really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've got nothing else. I've got no spooky content.
Yeah.
I think.
What about like your what sort of scary films would you recommend?
Oh, okay, 1 second. One second. Okay, Babadook is great, I think, just because
It's pretty good, yeah.
photography is great.
Mm.
It's just really nice to watch. I don't know, and it's got jump scares, but it's not like unpleasant to watch because there's some films that have so many jump scares
Yeah.
that I don't watch them generally. I just kind of look in a different direction.
Yeah. Babadook actually in particular has scares that are like more the scares that I like where it actually kind of like it's not a jump scare, it's just there and you can see it, but there's no kind of sound
yeah.
to it.
Yeah, we see the
Like
question
it's
when you
more
saw it.
disturbing.
Yeah, that's right.
Which are I think I'm sure it does have jump scares, but those kind of scares.
Nothing that you wouldn't guess that's coming.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. When and especially those ones where you're like, did I just see that? Like where you'd
Yeah.
have to kind of rewind it to check that you saw it because you're not expecting it.
Yeah, that's really good.
Those kind of
speed
scares are
work.
good.
Yeah. Wreck was good, I think.
Yeah, Wreck is good.
That was actually really good. It was kind of reminded me of Shaun of the Dead or something like that. Just the tone of it felt like it was kind of an
Really?
action movie, but also maybe it's just like the guitar music at the end, like the rock music at the credits.
Oh yeah.
Kind of set the tone.
I think that's actually a weird phenomena that horror movies have, having like weird choices for credits songs.
Yeah.
I can't think of any specific examples, but I just know a lot of horror movies do have like quite upbeat sort of songs.
Yeah, like so the film cuts, it ends, it's all you're traumatized, and then there's just a really fast music, like really.
Yeah,
It's like,
usually
we're already
like
having a
some
heart attack.
heavy rock band.
Yeah. Don't need any more like fast-paced music, up-tempo beat.
Yeah.
What else is good? Conjuring 2, I don't know. It was good at the beginning.
Yeah, I don't know if I could recommend it,
Yeah.
but the first half was definitely I was involved.
Yeah. Night Before Christmas is pretty scary. I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. That's.
It's a good Halloween
no
film
jump
though.
scares. Yeah, that's really good. Good Halloween film, good Christmas film, good in between seasons film.
Yeah.
Apart from that,
It's not really any November films.
no, we're not November, so it's fine. We're in October.
Oh yeah, that's
So
true.
don't think about November.
Yeah.
That's
Sorry, don't
ages
just think about
away.
it for another day.
No, so that's good. Gone Girl isn't a horror movie. It's really
But it could still
suspenseful.
scare you.
Yeah, I think that's really scary. You should watch
It
that.
is.
Hmm.
I love that film.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah. Do you have any?
I don't know. I feel like my taste is going to be quite specific. Like films that are scariest to me are generally I don't know. We watched Paranormal Activity recently, and the first time I watched that was like one of the scariest things I've ever seen. Probably
Yeah.
just because of my whole ghost like thing I
Yeah.
have.
I forgot about that actually. That was really cool to see. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, I kind of like the ending of that one, where a big dramatic thing happens, but there's only one big dramatic thing. Like for the whole, like it's leading up to that one event, and then it just kind of ends straight after it. It
What
kind of
is
leaves you guessing. Um,
the thing?
well, the ending we saw, I think, was the one where
Oh right, yeah.
she like eats the like throws the guy at the camera
Just
and
throws him
then
at the camera.
just goes
Yeah,
downstairs or something like that, or leaves the room again,
yeah.
and it cuts. It just stops, and like there's no like sound cues or anything like that. It's just like you're just watching it, and then it stops. And I like that. That was a cool ending.
Hmm. Well, that was what was good about the first one, was that there were several different endings to it, and I
Yeah.
think it was because it was this weird film that was made, but not immediately kind of, because they had to do, um, what would you call it? Like, they had to not get. I don't know if they got funding for it, or they had to petition to get it into theaters, basically,
Okay.
because it was this very low budget kind of film, and that eventually did happen. And I guess they must have had there were different versions of it circulating around the internet because it had been made, but it wasn't. They wanted people to
Published
see
yet.
it, but they wanted it in theaters. Yeah, so there's probably from test screenings, they probably had people say like, "Oh, this ending doesn't work."
I wonder if that's just adds like the spookiness, like
Or maybe,
that
yeah.
there's like different, and like you don't even know what the ending will be, even if you've seen it before necessarily.
Yeah.
You might get a hold of like a version that's got a different ending,
Yeah,
Like the Cluedo movie.
just like
which-
Clue, just like Clue. Yeah,
Cluedo movie, TM.
but the
Um,
version that we watched had every ending, so it's kind of a
This
bit.
one I've seen it, I would like that. With like
Uh,
million title cards in between each ending. Well, maybe this happened.
I just, I don't know if it was the last ending or whatever, but I just love the ending where the where the no, I can't remember it properly.
I can remember it, but do I want to explain a punchline to a film? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe not. It's just funny because it's like the last line of a like murder comedy film
Yeah.
where the guy's just like, and now I'm going home to sleep with my wife,
It's just cuts.
and then it just cuts to credits.
Yeah, that's a perfect ending. That's a good film. I don't care. It's not a Halloween film. But
I
it's
d- I don't think it's a perfect film. I think it's
a perfect film. It's just silly.
It's
and
fun.
It knows it. It knows that's silly. and
it's very
fun.
silly,
Yeah. I like
a bit
it.
too silly.
Impossible. I'm very into it.
Tim Curry's very good though.
Yeah, I think that's probably why I think it's perfect.
Not scary though. It's not a scary film. So
I don't know.
what are
I
we
think there
talking
were
about?
bits that was a bit on edge.
It's a bit haunted.
Close to scared, but not properly. Don't think. I mean, you surely dead, obviously. But that's.
Yeah, but again, that's
Safe.
like, yeah, I'm just trying to think of things that are actually kind of scary.
Sorry, but that is scary. Like the bit.
Were you scared by that when you first saw it?
Or maybe not. Maybe it was more like maybe the gore was more of a thing. Like the bit where the guy gets like pulled through the window.
Yeah, that bit was a
That
bit fucked up.
got to
Yeah.
me,
I think it made. I don't know. It was scary in some ways, but not in like. It was more shocking scary, as opposed to like
Yeah.
scared.
It's quite
scary.
gory.
Yeah. That's a bit much.
Hmm. But I don't think that really equates to scary all the time.
No, and that's why Saw, I guess, wouldn't be scary. It's just kind of gross.
Yeah. Yeah, Saw is just kind of interesting. Not really the gore porn aspect of it, but just the first one, the first film anyway, is interesting because you're like, how are these guys gonna get out of this situation? Yeah, we should watch that.
Okay. Yeah.
Is there anything else? Any other scary films to recommend?
I can't remember any. I've forgotten all scary films.
Hmm.
I feel like you've watched a lot. Oh, no, I didn't watch that. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if they're not coming to mind, then they're not good. They're not worth remembering. I
Yeah.
can't remember them right now.
Yeah. Do you have any films that scared you as a child but don't scare you anymore?
No.
Huh?
I don't think so.
Did you not see any films when you were a kid that like that you shouldn't have?
No, it's more like internet stuff I saw that I shouldn't have, or like films are just.
That's worse.
That is much worse on a much deeper level.
Yeah.
I watched South Park when I was like 8. Because you shouldn't
Edgy.
have done that. I was an edgelord since birth.
Yeah.
Don't think like movie wise. I think I was apart from that bit in the TV show that Alan Davies is in. What's it called?
Oh,
It's from my
Jonathan Creek.
Yeah, Jonathan Creek, where I only remember a scene where there's definitely a man in just like a blanket that's covered in fur, and he's got one big eye, and it's the dumbest costume.
Yeah.
And he's just in the middle of the room, and there's this old woman hiding in this wardrobe, which has got shutters, and then he just like turns to the wardrobe and he's got like Babadook long nails, and just like pokes it through the shutters, and you just see blood pour out, and that terrified me. I don't know if Jonathan Creek is meant to be like a parody, but that got to me.
Yeah, I never really watched it, but that does sound a bit weird.
It was just like it was all silent. I think I remember. It was just like you don't
Yeah.
see the woman die or anything. You just see blood come out, and it's really like it's a lot.
Yeah.
It was effective. I'll say that. It was effective. I was pretty little when I saw it as well. That's it. Have you got any?
Well, in terms of things that were not from scary shows but scared me.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was shown the first two Scary Movie films when I was young, and those kind of messed me up a little bit. Because even though, you know, they're not scary to, like, adults,
seen them
they're
scary.
parodying things that are scary.
Yeah.
And,
So if you haven't seen the original thing, you're like, no, this is just scary.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't a parody.
yeah, to a kid who hasn't seen the original thing, you're like, this is the original thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because, yeah, I mean, Scary Movie 1 is pretty much just a parody of Scream, which already is kind of a parody of horror films, so it's like, how meta are you gonna go?
God, I've just realized I got Scream and Scream Movie 1 confused my entire life. I thought they were the same
Really?
thing. Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah. I mean, yeah,
Scream is, wait. So Scream is a parody?
Scream is not a parody like Scary
Oh,
Movie is.
okay.
Scream is kind of like, self-referential, kind of talking about how a horror movie tropes, kind of, postmodern sort of horror film.
What about Scream then?
No, that is Scream.
Oh, what about Scary Movie?
No, Scary Movie is the dumb, like, date movie, kind of,
Oh,
those
right.
kind of movies, but just with
Teen
horror
movie,
films,
okay,
yeah.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then, yeah, Scary Movie 2 starts with, like, an Exorcist, parody, which just scared the fuck out of me when I was
That's
younger.
terrifying anyway, though. The
Yeah.
actual original thing. Oh, I know, actually, the first time I felt fear when I was young, it was like,
Yeah, very primal.
like a really, like, urge to leave was,
Yeah.
one of those maze games where you do the maze and then you, like, concentrate, or, like, spot the difference, so you're, like, staring at the screen and then a face pops up, and,
Oh, right, yeah.
and it's always, the Exorcist girl face, and
Yeah.
I had to leave the room whenever that happened. Like, that was my number one fear. I think there was an advert for, like, that drink, Crush'ems, whatever, and it was just a cat.
Crusher.
Crusher, yeah, that's it, not Crush'ems.
Oh, well, the, like, milkshake stuff.
Yeah, there was an advert where there was like cats and a
Yeah,
band,
yeah.
and they were like kind of it was kind of collage style,
Yeah.
and they just would occasionally pop up on the screen, and maybe with a slightly loud noise, and I would have to leave the room. Like I couldn't be around.
So
them.
it's
I'd
not
be,
even
like,
something
screaming.
scary, it's just the Crusher advert.
Yeah, that's what best still fit.
Crusher was so disgusting.
It's so disgusting. Like, the adverts were really weird.
It was just, yeah, it was just like a tiny little thing that you added to a glass of milk, and it was made to taste like a milkshake, but it was horrible.
Like a thickening agent.
Yeah.
That's gross.
Wait, what did you just say? I've forgotten.
Crush'ems. Like,
Crush'ems.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I'd already seen that game being played by like other people, so I knew when
Okay.
not to play
I
that.
experienced it. I lived it
Yeah.
firsthand. I didn't see anyone else. Oh no, Let's Plays. So it's Scary Maze.
For that 5-second game.
No. It was just on ebombsworld.com. I just traversed the internet by myself. It's terrifying.
Because I think it was one of those games where you had to look closer at the screen, because you had
Yeah.
to do something very
You have to focus. Like,
focused, yeah, and you had to get like you couldn't touch the edges or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I
And
think that
then
was, like, a cheat
yeah,
thing.
and then it would come up.
yeah, and then you finish it, and it's horrible. It betrayed my trust forever.
Yeah.
that was it. That was like the most scariest
Alright.
thing I've ever seen in my life.
Really.
Okay.
Have any more prompts?
I don't think I have any more prompts. Not really. Favorite Halloween movies, Rob Dyke. Female protagonists is the only other thing that I've got. Female protagonists in horror movies.
What
Discuss.
about-
What's that all about?
What's that about? Okay, right. So we watched It Follows yesterday, which
Mm.
is mainly female protagonists, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a lot of female.
Yeah, there's
Characters?
quite a few girls in it, yeah.
I just thought it was weird. I thought it was weird.
They're quite young girls as well. Well, why is it weird?
Yeah. Okay.
Explain
I watched it
yourself.
on- It was young girls, usually not dressed in much at all, like usually in pajamas or something like that.
Mm.
And just being like, it starts with the girl being chased out of a room in like pajamas and then being killed in like a really weirdly graphic, like Final Destination kind of. You don't see her being killed, but it just shows her like dead,
Yeah, it kind of cuts to her with
like mangled up
some
legs.
mangled bones on a beach. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's just loads of shots. There's like that guy that keeps looking at girls and it shows like a really there's a lot of lingering shots basically. And I don't know if that's to make
There
you
are, yeah.
uncomfortable. But a lot of times it's just like what was that? What was that whole scene? Like that doesn't I'm not
Yeah.
scared.
Yeah, well, these are all kind of teenage kids, and there's one guy who just keeps kind of looking at all, it like, not even one specific girl, just keeps looking at girls very strangely.
Yeah.
And it's like there's this weird underlying sort of sexual tension to the film, which, I mean, it is about sex, basically, because it's a sexually transmitted curse.
Person? Yeah.
Yeah, it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so there's definitely kind of a sexual element to it, but it's weird how it kind of focuses on
Just the young looking women.
female anatomy. Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know if that was just to make you uncomfortable and like maybe that was
Maybe.
a conscious decision. But
yeah,
I don't know. For a lot of time I just felt like you could have chosen a different way to make us uncomfortable. I don't know. It felt more like why as opposed to like
yeah. But then, yeah, just as an overall thing, like, how I just wonder how kind of is it the vulnerability of women over men that is what the horror movies kind of take advantage of? Because it seems like even if I know you haven't seen Alien, but it kind of ends with she's on an escape pod with the alien. She doesn't think is on there, but it's on there. And and she's very kind of I think she's in like underwear and just a t-shirt on this pod. She thinks she's alone, and then this alien starts hunting her, and it's stuff like that. Like,
do they need to be like?
Is it and obviously like Psycho, like she's in the shower when she gets killed. Like there's a weird parallel between sex and violence.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess it's just that it's always like men are never being made to put in the vulnerable position generally ever. Like I don't think there's ever a sex scene where a guy gets killed. I don't think is there.
There probably are, but it's never focusing on him. It's never focusing on guys.
It would be the girl that gets killed out of those situations. And like there was in Cabin in the Woods, there was that they kind of addressed tropes in that, I guess.
Yeah.
Like there's the slut gets killed first in like the phrase the word movie, and the virgin gets killed, or the virgin doesn't die. Is I think.
Yeah, and the virgin last. I mean, I think the virgin is meant to either die last or survive. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But that's another film that plays heavily on the kind of tropes. That's a really good film.
Yeah. And like the woman like gets killed while they're having sex, basically. So she's like dressed and stuff like that. And it's just
and they're all kind of in the control room. They're all kind of like being. It's a lot of lurid kind of men sort of watching, and because they set up this whole scene with like the lighting and the fog that they're controlling, and they're like, this is going to be like the sex part, and
they're in charge of it.
Yeah,
maybe that was them making a comment on who are these scenes for, like in film.
Yeah.
Is it just for guys to just like, and then so it's not really to create a scary atmosphere at all. It is just like a gross little scene for guys. Like I don't maybe that's what they were getting at.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. But yeah, definitely is a trope. It's weird and kind of messed up.
Yeah, it just kind of occurred to me when I was writing my notes, like, why is this a thing?
Yeah.
It seems too easy to.
Just weird. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because it's. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
But it follows more than any film that I've seen recently. Seems like it. Yeah, it does linger on. Sort of just scantily clad girls a bit too long for like no reason.
Yeah.
But
Anyway. Into the film.
Yeah.
Apart from that, The Descent was full of female protagonists.
Yeah, they were all women. That's true.
Yeah, that's a good detail. Yeah. I thought that was good. I thought that like you never felt like where's the men? It was just so good. It was they.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's not as if women can't dominate horror film.
No.
It's just
they normally do actually. Babadook was also.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. They're generally the protagonist because
that is weird.
Because they're I guess seen as more vulnerable.
Yeah. So it's is it cooler when they do take charge and like it feels because like in The Descent there's Juno she starts turning like a Lara Croft person, and she's pretty
Yeah.
badass. But I don't know if that's
That just gets a bit stupid
it
because
just gets stupid, but
they are just like these.
killing.
Well, they rock climb and stuff, but like they're not assassins.
Yeah,
They're
it
just
gets
normal women.
real dramatic.
It's
real
like the
fast.
whole Die Hard
Oh, yeah.
argument.
Yeah, I think you don't normally. I don't know. You do kind of see women tend to like Lara Croft figures a lot of the time. But I was just like, this is fun. This is cool.
Mm.
I liked it.
It's good. It's good up until like halfway, I think.
Oh yeah, the movie does turn down. Like apart from that,
Just like a lot of horror films.
are there any movies that don't turn down? Wreck, actually, that I feel like at the end when it turns out spoilers that
Yeah, no, yeah. Wreck is
when the house, like the room was like possessed. First of all, it was like a flu thing, and then it turned into a zombie thing, and then it turned into a zombie thing created to kill a possessed girl. Was that it?
Yeah, it gets quite convoluted. They get into the spoilers. They get to the top floor at the end. It's all this kind of where I can't remember exactly. But someone was trying to make a cure for. Oh no, there's something about a girl that was exorcised
Yeah.
up
And then
there
he's saying
or
like he's
something.
created something. I thought it was to control
Created a
her
cure.
or something like that.
Yeah,
And then
to
it's
control,
spread
and then
for
yeah,
a dog.
I don't remember exactly.
Convoluted.
Yeah, it
basically.
gets a bit messy, but either way, the ending is pretty scary.
Oh yeah. That's
Scared
really
me.
good. But apart from that, I can't remember any others.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything. Well, we're about 2 hours now, so
Really?
yeah. Maybe we should
Stop this.
wrap it up.
Actually, yeah.
Is there anything you wanted to add?
I have no sign-offs. I
No?
have no time. I have nothing. No.
You want to thank our sponsors?
Thank you to
Loot Crate, Audible, Squarespace. Thank you guys. Thank you guys.
Do you have any who answers you want to read out?
What?
Any who answers you want to read out?
That's not gonna make sense to anyone. So, but maybe we could talk about different podcasts on a different podcast. I mean, a different show.
Just have a million
podcast ideas.
I mean, we're gonna need another theme for next time. So,
I think a podcast talking about other podcasts.
Yeah, I listen to a
like that.
lot of podcasts, so yeah, maybe we should save it for them.
Yeah.
All right. We still don't have a name.
No, it's been 2 hours and name has not happened. Hopefully there'll be one in a title somewhere.
Yeah, maybe we'll just give one the title, and then.
Wait, just put a. So this is the end of the podcast, and then just put the name in the blank space.
Okay, so this is the end of.
Just
Yeah, I fucked it up.
Tunnel.
Yeah. All right then.
Have you thought about any sign-offs?
No, I don't think there's any way to sign off really. So yeah, we'll just say thanks for listening,
Please
and
like
please
the video, subscribe.
uh like, comment, subscribe, comment, like.
Subscribe.
You don't have to do any of that, but that'd be cool if you did.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe suggest what we could talk about. There we
Or
go.
a name.
Or a name, yeah.
Okay. Would be cool.
Otherwise, we'll just name it ourselves. Something dumb. Okay, well, thanks. Bye.
Bye. Yeah.